High Admiral Zextal stood aboard the bridge of the Kraxan Empire's flagship, the Eternal Dominion, his iridescent scales reflecting the soft purple glow of the holographic displays surrounding him. The massive vessel hung at the edge of the Sol system, accompanied by what the Empire considered a modest flotilla. Merely 50 warships, more than sufficient for their standard planetary acquisition protocol. Another primitive world. First Officer Rythar asked, her cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on the blue-green planet displayed before them. Hardly worth the fuel spent reaching it, Zextal replied, mandibles clicking in amusement. But the Mining Guild insists this system's resources are essential for our expansion in this sector. The Kraxan Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds across 3 galaxies. Each conquest followed the same pattern. Arrive, overwhelm, subjugate. Their technologically superior forces had never faced meaningful resistance. Their quantum steel hulls and plasma weaponry had reduced countless civilizations to ash and submission. The preliminary scans of Earth had revealed what appeared to be a painfully obvious technological disparity. Human satellites cluttered their orbit like space debris. Their planetary defense systems seemed to rely on primitive chemical propulsion. Their energy signatures suggested nuclear fission as their primary power source, practically Stone Age technology by Kraxan standards. Most peculiar, Science Officer Venra announced, her tentacles dancing across the sensor interface. Their military installations appeared to be concentrated in specific regions, leaving vast areas completely undefended. Typical of species that never unified, Zextal dismissed. They waste resources fighting among themselves instead of preparing for real threats. The bridge crew continued their analysis, cataloging what they perceived as weaknesses. They noted the humans' reliance on radio waves for communication, the apparent lack of energy shielding around their major cities, and the small number of space-worthy vessels detected in orbit. "Shall we begin the standard intimidation protocol, Admiral?" Rythar asked, already preparing the Empire's traditional display of force, a demonstration that had broken the will of countless species before any real fighting began. Zextal raised a clawed hand, considering the suggestion. "No, this species seems particularly primitive. They might not even comprehend the meaning of such a display. Prepare for immediate engagement. Their resistance will be minimal, if they resist at all." As the fleet began their advance into the solar system, they encountered no resistance. The human satellites continued their predictable orbits, broadcasting their simple signals. Earth's military installations showed no signs of elevated activity. Everything pointed to an easy victory. "Admiral," Venra called out, her voice carrying a note of confusion. "I'm detecting some unusual energy fluctuations from their lunar installations. They appear to be using their moon for mining operations, but the energy signatures are inconsistent with mining activity." "Irrelevant," Zextal declared. "Probably inefficient industrial processes. Mark them as secondary targets after we secure the primary military installations." The fleet pressed forward, passing Mars' orbit. Their sensors detected the primitive human outposts on the red planet, barely more than pressurized habitats with basic life support systems. The Empire's archaeologists would study them later. After the conquest was complete, "Launch the first wave of probes," Zextal ordered. "Let's map their defensive capabilities in detail before we begin the actual assault." Hundreds of sleek, autonomous probes shot forth from the fleet, their stealth fields making them virtually invisible to what the Kraxan believed were Earth's primitive detection systems. The probes spread out in a complex pattern, prepared to gather detailed tactical data about Earth's military capabilities. "Sir," Rythar reported, her cybernetic eye pulsing with increased activity. "The probes are reporting unusual readings. There appears to be some kind of energy field permeating Earth's upper atmosphere, but it's unlike anything in our database. Probably natural phenomena," Zextal dismissed. "This system's star likely creates unique atmospheric conditions we haven't encountered before." But as the probes continued their survey, more anomalies appeared. subtle energy signatures that didn't match any known human power source, mysterious gaps in what should have been continuous data streams, brief, inexplicable moments when probes would lose contact before resuming their transmission, as if nothing had happened. Admiral, Venra's tentacles had stopped their usual fluid motion, now rigid with concern. I'm detecting quantum fluctuations from several points on their moon. They're very faint, but they appear to be. Before she could finish her sentence, a series of alerts flashed across the bridge's displays. 3 probes had suddenly gone silent. Then 5 more. Then dozens. Impossible, Zextal muttered, his scales darkening with agitation. They couldn't possibly. The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as their supposedly undetectable probes were systematically eliminated. No weapons fire was detected. No energy beams. The probes simply ceased to exist, one after another, in a perfectly executed pattern that couldn't possibly be random. Admiral, Reither's voice had lost its usual confidence. I believe we may have made a tactical error in our assessment of Earth's technological capabilities. Zextal's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of growing anxiety among his species. The humans had hidden their true capabilities well. Too well. And now, as his fleet approached Earth, he realized they weren't the hunters they thought they were. They were about to become the prey. Deep within the Cheyenne Mountain complex, General Sarah Chen stood before a wall of holographic displays, her face illuminated by the soft blue glow of Earth's integrated defense network. Around her, the command center hummed with quiet efficiency as humanity's most advanced AI systems processed the incoming data about the alien fleet. They took the bait, Lieutenant Commander James Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across the quantum interface. Their probes fell for every single false signature we planted. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. Chen allowed herself a small smile. For decades, humanity had prepared for this moment. Ever since the first distant signals were detected, Earth had unified under a single defensive doctrine. Appear weak, stay strong, and never reveal your true capabilities until the perfect moment. Status of the lunar defense grid? Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. The quantum entanglement network meant every system's status was instantly shared across Earth's entire defensive infrastructure. All quantum nullification arrays are charged and ready, Colonel Yuki Tanaka responded from her station. The aliens haven't detected our true power signatures. The masking field is holding perfectly. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't their advanced weapons or impenetrable shields. It was their ability to hide them. Every major city on Earth was protected by fields that made nuclear fission plants appear to be their primary power source, while actually being powered by zero-point energy reactors. Every primitive satellite was equipped with quantum sensors that could track ships through hyperspace. The mining operations on the moon housed weapon systems that could reduce entire fleets to their component atoms. Message from the Council, announced Dr. Ahmed Hassan, the chief scientist of Project Eclipse. They unanimously approved the activation of the Prometheus Protocol. A reverent hush fell over the command center. The Prometheus Protocol was humanity's ultimate defense system, an AI-driven battle coordination network that could process combat situations 1,000,000 times faster than organic minds. It had been developed in secret, tested in simulations, but never deployed in actual combat. Their fleet is maintaining course, Rodriguez updated. They'll be within optimal range in 17 minutes. Chen nodded, her expression hardening. Begin final preparations. Maintain emissions control. Let them think they're still undetected. Across Earth, military installations that appeared abandoned or primitive on alien scans were silently powering up their true capabilities. Orbital platforms disguised as communication satellites readied their quantum phase weapons. The seemingly basic outposts on Mars activated their temporal distortion fields. General, Tanaka called out, we're detecting increased energy emissions from their fleet. They appear to be charging weapons systems. Let them, Chen replied calmly. Every joule of energy they channel into their weapons is one more variable the Prometheus protocol can analyze and counter. The command center's atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, developing technologies in secret, always careful to maintain the illusion of a divided, technologically primitive species. Quantum signatures from their fleet suggest they're operating on seventh-generation particle physics, Hassan reported, studying the data streams. They have no idea we mastered 11th-generation physics decades ago. The alien fleet drew closer, their formation suggesting they expected minimal resistance. Their arrogance was about to become their undoing. They're launching what appears to be a standard attack pattern, Rodriguez announced. Multiple smaller vessels moving to flanking positions. Their energy signatures suggest they're preparing for a shock and awe display. Time to optimal range, Chen asked. 8 minutes, 13 seconds. Chen allowed her gaze to sweep across the command center, making eye contact with each of her senior staff. These men and women represented the finest minds Earth had to offer, chosen from every nation, united in purpose. Send the coded signal to all defense installations, she ordered. Prometheus protocol initiates in 7 minutes. Until then, maintain absolute emissions control. Let them come to us. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden defenses acknowledged the signal. The quantum entanglement network ensured instant communication without any detectable emissions. Every weapon, every shield, every countermeasure was perfectly synchronized, waiting for the moment to reveal Earth's true power. General, Hassan spoke up, his voice carrying a note of grim satisfaction. The alien fleet's formation, it's exactly as the simulations predicted. Their tactical doctrine is consistent with a species that's never faced meaningful resistance. They're positioning themselves perfectly for our trap. Chen nodded. The aliens' overconfidence was working in humanity's favor. They were so convinced of their technological superiority that they hadn't even considered the possibility that Earth's primitive appearance was a carefully crafted deception. 5 minutes to optimal range, Rodriguez updated. Their weapons are fully charged. They appear to be preparing for what they think will be a decisive first strike. Let them come, Chen said softly, watching the holographic display as the alien fleet moved inexorably toward their doom. Let them learn why humanity has survived every crisis, every challenge, every threat we've ever faced. The countdown continued in silence, each second bringing the overconfident alien armada closer to the moment when they would discover that they hadn't found an easy target. They had walked into humanity's perfect trap. Admiral Zextal was about to give the order to commence the attack when reality itself seemed to shift around his fleet. The void between his ships and Earth suddenly shimmered with countless points of light, like stars being born and dying in the span of microseconds. Multiple spatial anomalies detected. Venra shouted, her tentacles frantically working across multiple interfaces, energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Before anyone on the bridge could react, the seemingly primitive satellites in Earth's orbit transformed. What had appeared to be simple communication devices shed their outer layers, revealing sleek, advanced weapon platforms that hummed with impossible power. Impossible, Zextal breathed, his scales paling to a sickly gray. Their technology, it was all a deception. The lunar surface erupted with activity as massive structures emerged from what their scans had identified as simple mining operations. Quantum energy cascaded across the moon's surface in intricate patterns, forming a web of pure power that encompassed the entire satellite. Sir, Rythar's cybernetic eye was cycling through spectrum analyses at maximum speed. I'm detecting temporal distortions from the Mars outposts. They're manipulating local space-time. The Prometheus protocol activated. In an instant, Earth's defensive grid came alive with devastating synchronicity. Quantum-phased energy beams lanced out from the lunar arrays, passing through the cracks in ship shields as if they didn't exist. The beams didn't damage the ships. Instead, they tagged them with quantum markers that made them visible to Earth's true weapon systems. Shields are ineffective, An officer screamed as the first real attacks began. Their weapons are operating on principles we don't understand. Humanity's orbital platforms unleashed their arsenal. Instead of the crude nuclear weapons the aliens had expected, they fired graviton pulses that selectively altered the mass of targeted ship sections. Hulls designed to withstand the most powerful energy weapons suddenly found portions of themselves becoming thousands of times heavier than their surrounding structure, tearing ships apart from within. Evasive maneuvers, Zextal ordered, but it was already too late. The Mars outposts activated their temporal distortion fields, creating bubbles of altered time around key sections of the Kraxan fleet. Ships trying to maneuver found themselves moving in slow motion, their crews experiencing time at a fraction of normal speed, while Earth's weapons continued to strike at normal velocity. Admiral, Venra's voice was trembling. Their defensive capabilities. They're not just advanced. They're responding to our every move before we make it. It's as if they're operating outside of causality itself. The Prometheus Protocol's true power became apparent as the battle unfolded. Every human weapon fired with perfect coordination, every defensive measure activated at exactly the right moment. The AI system predicted and countered Kraxan tactics before they could even be implemented. "Sir, we've lost 30% of the fleet," Rythar reported, her usual confidence shattered. "Their targeting systems are perfect. They're not just hitting us, they're hitting exactly where and when our shields are weakest." The Eternal Dominion shuddered as another wave of graviton pulses struck its hull. Structural integrity warnings blared across every deck. The mighty flagship, pride of the Kraxan Empire, was being systematically dismantled by weapons that defied their understanding of physics. "How?" Zextal demanded, watching as another cruiser was torn apart by forces he couldn't comprehend. "How did they hide this level of technology?" "Our sensors. Our probes." "Admiral," a junior officer called out, "we're detecting quantum signatures from Earth's surface. They're using zero-point energy. Their entire civilization is powered by vacuum energy extraction." The revelation hit the bridge crew like a physical blow. Zero-point energy was theoretical in Kraxan science, considered impossible to harness. Yet these humans had not only mastered it, but had successfully hidden its use behind a facade of primitive nuclear technology. Earth's orbital defense grid continued its relentless assault. Ships that attempted to retreat found their engines disabled by targeted temporal fields. Vessels that tried to return fire discovered their weapons were being redirected through quantum tunneling effects, their own attacks turned against them with surgical precision. "We've lost contact with the entire third attack wing," Rythar reported, her cybernetic eyes struggling to track the chaos of battle. "The humans, they're not just defeating us. They're systematically analyzing and countering every technology we possess." The Prometheus Protocol had turned the battle into a technological demonstration. Each human countermeasure was precisely calculated to demonstrate superiority while gathering data on Kraxan capabilities. It wasn't just a defense, it was a message to any other species that might consider Earth an easy target. "Admiral," Venra's tentacles had gone completely still, a sign of extreme distress in her species. "We're detecting energy buildups from their lunar installations. The power levels, they're beyond anything in our theoretical models." Zextal stared at the tactical display, watching as his mighty fleet was reduced to scattered, powerless vessels. The humans hadn't just prepared for this battle, they had prepared for this exact fleet, with these exact capabilities, using this exact attack strategy. "We never stood a chance," he realized, his mandibles clicking in a pattern of defeat. "They let us come. They wanted us to attack. This isn't a battle. It's a lesson," Rythar finished, understanding dawning in her organic eye. In the Cheyenne Mountain complex, General Chen watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The Prometheus Protocol had performed even better than simulations had predicted, systematically dismantling the alien fleet's offensive capabilities while gathering invaluable data about their technology. "All primary targets have been neutralized," Rodriguez reported. Their fleet is effectively dead in space. Temporal fields are holding them in position. Begin Phase 2, Chen ordered. Let's show them exactly what happens when you threaten Earth. The quantum entanglement network pulsed with new commands. Across the solar system, humanity's most advanced weapons platforms prepared for the counterstrike. This wasn't just about defense anymore. It was about sending a message that would echo across the galaxy. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Zextal watched in horror as new energy signatures began emanating from Earth's Lagrange points, locations his sensors had previously shown as empty space. Massive structures phased into visibility, their very existence defying Kraxan understanding of physics. By the First Empire, Venra whispered, her tentacles trembling. Those are dimensional gates. The structures were humanity's greatest achievement, a network of artificial wormhole generators that could instantly transport ships across vast distances. As the gates activated, new vessels emerged from hyperspace, Earth's true fleet. Unlike the purposefully primitive-looking defensive platforms, these ships made no attempt to hide their technological sophistication. They were works of art, their hulls composed of metamaterials that absorbed all electromagnetic radiation, their drives powered by miniaturized zero-point reactors. Multiple contacts. Rythar announced, her cybernetic eye struggling to track the emerging vessels. Their ships, they're not using conventional propulsion. They're manipulating space-time itself for movement. The human fleet moved with impossible grace, their advanced inertial control systems allowing maneuvers that would have torn conventional ships apart. They didn't need to accelerate gradually. They simply relocated themselves through space, appearing where they needed to be through localized space-time manipulation. Admiral, a junior officer called out, we're detecting some kind of beam connecting their ships. It's like they're sharing computing power, acting as a single entity. He was right. The human vessels were linked through quantum entanglement, their AI systems working in perfect harmony. Each ship was both an individual unit and part of a greater whole, coordinated by the Prometheus protocol with efficiency that bordered on precognition. Back in the command center, Dr. Hassan monitored the deployment of Earth's most closely guarded technological achievements. The Swarm Consciousness Network is operating at peak efficiency. All ships are quantum-linked and responding to Prometheus directives. The counterstrike began with surgical precision. Human vessels appeared simultaneously at multiple points around the trapped Kraxan fleet, their weapons already charged and targeted. But instead of destroying the alien ships, they began a systematic demonstration of technological superiority. Targeted graviton beams reversed the polarity of the Kraxan shields, turning them into containment fields that trapped their own ships. Quantum phase torpedoes passed effortlessly through hull plating, materializing inside engine rooms to disable drive systems without harming the crew. Temporal weapons created localized time dilation fields, forcing alien gunners to watch helplessly as their weapons operated in slow motion. They could have destroyed us at any time, Zextal realized, watching as another squadron of his ships was systematically disabled. This entire battle, they're toying with us. Sir, Venra interrupted, her voice quavering. We're being hailed. The signal, it's coming through our quantum-encrypted channels. They broke our best encryption like it wasn't even there. On every Kraxan ship, on every command console, the same message appeared, translated perfectly into their language. Your empire's expansion ends here. Earth is not your prey. We are the guardians of this sector, and we have been watching your kind for centuries. The choice is yours. Retreat and spread word of what you've witnessed, or be dismantled so thoroughly that your technology will be studied in human museums as primitive artifacts. The message was accompanied by detailed technical specifications of human weapons and defenses, but only the ones they had already revealed. It was clear that humanity was keeping their most advanced technology hidden, leaving the Kraxan to wonder just how far ahead Earth really was. Admiral, Rythar said quietly, Long-range scans are detecting similar quantum signatures from other star systems we'd marked for conquest. They're already out there. They'd been preparing for us everywhere we might have gone. Zextal's scales had faded to an almost translucent gray. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just defeated his fleet. They had revealed themselves as a sleeping giant, a technological superpower that had deliberately hidden its capabilities while preparing an entire network of defenses across multiple star systems. In the Cheyenne Mountain complex, General Chen allowed herself a small smile as she watched the alien fleet's command signals shift from combat protocols to surrender procedures. "Send the final message," she ordered. "Let them know the terms of their retreat." The counterstrike had achieved its purpose. Earth had demonstrated not just its ability to defend itself, but its overwhelming technological superiority. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity was not a primitive species to be conquered. They were the most advanced civilization in known space, and they had been watching, waiting, and preparing for this moment for generations. 3 standard months after the Battle of Seoul, the Kraxan High Council convened in their grand chamber on the Empire's capital world. The massive crystalline dome, usually filled with the confident declarations of expansion and conquest, now echoed with uneasy murmurs and worried clicks of mandibles. Admiral Zextal stood before the assembled council. His scales still haven't recovered their former luster after his encounter with Earth's forces. The tactical data from the battle played in holographic detail above the council chamber, showing the systematic dismantling of what had once been considered the Empire's most advanced battle fleet. "The humans," he began, his voice carrying none of its former arrogance, "are not what we believe them to be. They are not what anyone believed them to be. They are something entirely new." The council watched in stunned silence as the battle recording showed human technology that defied their understanding of physics. Ships moving through space-time like fish through water. Weapons that ignored the most fundamental laws of nature. Defenses that made their most powerful weapons seem like children's toys. "We have confirmed," Zextal continued, "that the humans have established similar defensive networks in at least 37 star systems we had marked for expansion. Their influence extends far beyond what anyone suspected." Supreme Counselor Vexmore, her ancient scales darkened with concern, leaned forward. "How did we not see this? How did our most advanced surveillance miss such power?" "Because they wanted it missed," Rythar answered, stepping forward to join her admiral. Her cybernetic eye had been upgraded with human-inspired technology. A gift from their encounter. Everything we thought we knew about Earth was part of an elaborate deception. They showed us exactly what they wanted us to see. The tactical display shifted to show new data. Analysis of human technological capabilities that had been revealed during the battle. But more importantly, it showed the gaps, the deliberate omissions that suggested even more advanced technologies hidden behind what they had demonstrated. "The humans sent us back with a message," Zextal announced, his mandibles clicking in a pattern of deep respect. "They are declaring this sector of space under their protection. Any aggressive action against developing worlds in their sphere of influence will be met with the same response we encountered, or worse." The council chamber erupted in overlapping conversations. The implications were staggering. The Kraxan Empire, which had expanded unchecked for millennia, had not just been defeated. They had been thoroughly outclassed by a civilization that had deliberately hidden its true nature. "There's more," Rythar added, her organic eye gleaming with a mix of fear and admiration. "Analysis of their quantum signatures suggests they've been technologically superior to us for at least 3 centuries. They weren't just waiting for us. They were waiting to see what kind of civilization we would prove to be." The display showed a new image, a map of known space with overlays showing suspected human observation posts and hidden defensive installations. The scope was breathtaking. While the Empire had been proudly expanding, humanity had been quietly preparing, watching, judging. "We are not the first," Zextal revealed, causing a fresh wave of murmurs. Our intelligence networks have uncovered evidence of at least 3 other expansionist empires that encountered Earth's sphere of influence. Each time, the humans revealed only enough of their capabilities to end the conflict decisively. They've been testing responses, gathering data, preparing for larger threats. Supreme Counselor Vexmore raised a clawed hand, silencing the chamber. "What are you suggesting, Admiral?" "I am suggesting, Supreme Counselor, that we have been operating under a fundamental misconception about our place in the galaxy. We thought ourselves the apex of technological achievement, the height of civilized evolution. We were wrong." The tactical display shifted one final time, showing the message that had been transmitted to the Kraxan fleet before they were allowed to retreat. "Choose your future carefully. You are not the first to test our resolve, and you will not be the last. But you could be among the first to choose wisdom over pride." The humans, Zextal concluded, are not merely defending their territory. They are shepherding this entire sector of space, allowing civilizations to develop naturally while preventing aggressive species from disrupting the growth of others. They are not just a superpower, they are guardians. The council chamber fell into contemplative silence. The Kraxan Empire had always seen itself as the arbiter of civilization, spreading its influence through force when necessary. Now they faced a choice: adapt to this new reality or risk extinction at the hands of a power they couldn't hope to match. "The humans have offered us an opportunity," Rythar spoke into the silence. "They are willing to share some of their technology, not their most advanced capabilities, but enough to revolutionize our society. In exchange, they ask for our cooperation in maintaining stability in this sector of space." Supreme Counselor Vexmore's scales shifted through patterns of deep thought before she spoke. "We built our empire on the belief that superior technology and military might give us the right to expand as we wished. Now we find ourselves humbled by a species that had the power to stop us at any time, yet chose to wait and watch." She rose from her throne, her ancient eyes scanning the assembled council. "Perhaps it is time for the Kraxan Empire to learn a new way. Perhaps true civilization is not measured by the worlds you can conquer, but by the wisdom to know when not to." As the council began their deliberations on this new future, Earth's sensors continued their silent watch, and humanity's hidden fleets remained ready. The galaxy was changing, and a new era of human influence had begun, not through conquest or dominance, but through patience, preparation, and the power of hidden strength finally revealed.